You guys all rise for the flag pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, good evening and welcome to the Morrison County Planning Commission public hearing for August 22nd, 2023. I have a few items to cover before we get started. Please sign in at the door if you have not already done so. There you will also find a detailed handout of the step-by-step procedure we will follow tonight if you wish to take one. Please put your electronic devices on silent mode at this time. Also, please note that all testimony is being recorded for the record. Members of the Planning Commission are appointed by the County Board of Commissioners with one member from each of the 5 commissioner districts. Land Service staff is here to assist the Planning Commission with its duties. The task of the Planning Commission is to hold the public hearing and make a recommendation to the County Board of Commissioners for approval or denial of request for conditional and interim use permits, rezones, plats, and ordinance amendments in accordance with state law and county ordinance. The burden of proving a request meets the criteria for approval rests with the applicant. There is a protocol for how we will proceed tonight. For each request on the agenda, we will hear a staff report, hear testimony from the applicants, and then we will discuss and gather more information as needed. Next, I'll ask if there's anyone in the audience wishing to speak to this request. I will ask each party to come to the podium, state their name and address for the record, and give their testimony. Please be as factual as possible and direct all statements and questions to me, the chair. After all testimony is complete, I will close the public hearing portion of this process. The Planning Commission will then review and discuss the case in terms of our finding of fact criteria as required by Minnesota statute and county ordinance. We will have a series of votes, discuss whether conditions be made, then there will be the final motion to recommend approval or denial to the county commissioners. After this final vote on your request, you may leave if you wish. The County Board of Commissioners will then consider the request and our recommendation at their next regular meeting and will either grant or deny the request. So first up on the agenda tonight is Kurt and Janice Plant. If you guys would come up to the tables up here.
Got Shmaya.
Well, how come
I don't know.
you got Shmaya? Hold on, we might have confusion here. My list shows this.
I have this numbered 1, but on the agenda, is it swept? Okay. Give me just a moment. We'll go with Plant. I just need to get my,
Okay, so if Curtis and Janice, you want to come up?
give me just a second here to,
Okay, that's fine. So we have Curtis and Janice Plant, 16723 273rd Street, Fort Ripley, Minnesota. Application for a conditional use permit to expand to a Tier 2 or Tier 3 hog feedlot located in northwest quarter of Section 6, Township 42, Range 31, Ripley Township. If you'd please state your name for the record.
Kurt Plant.
Okay. Okay, at this time, we'll turn it over to Amy with their staff report.
all right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, this is an application for a conditional use permit, and this is actually to expand to a Tier 4 swine feedlot. This is located in Section 6 of Ripley Township. The ordinance reference for this request is Section 604.6, and that requires a conditional use for establishment or expansion of feedlots. Here is the plat map for Ripley Township, and the red dot is the location of the parcel. And then here's the conditional use permit request received from the applicant. And then an aerial photograph of the parcel. And then also here's another aerial image. This is a 169.74 acre parcel just south of the Crow Wing County border in Ripley Township. A Tier 3 swine feedlot exists on the property, and it was established in 2017. The conditional use permit was granted with the following conditions: abide by state and local law, notify road authority when hauling manure during road restrictions, abide by the Good Neighbor Plan, and at least 70% of the escaping air from the gestation barn must be treated with biofilters. The biofilters shall be installed and operational prior to stocking the barn. Ongoing maintenance to ensure effective function and odor control is required at all times. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to expand to a Tier 4 swine feedlot through the addition of a 122 by 280 foot grower barn. The animal units would go from 960 to 1,476. This would result in a start to finish swine feedlot operation. These are total confinement barns with below-grade manure pits that have a storage capacity for 1 year. The pits are pumped up to twice per year. A mortality composting structure is already in place. A Type 1 wetland must be filled for placement of the barn. That can be accomplished through permitting by the Morrison County Soil and Water Conservation District. For a manure application, the applicant owns, operates, or has access to 1,242 acres. The acreage is in Morrison and Crow Wing counties. 431 spreadable acres is needed to utilize nitrogen, and 1,244 acres is needed to utilize phosphorus. The soil phosphorus levels must be closely monitored to prevent overapplication or buildup. The offset rating for the operation, including additional barn, is 93%. This rating is assuming that pit additives and biofilters are utilized on the barns. The applicant has submitted the following plans: the Morrison County Good Neighbor Plan. That plan identifies that manure will be incorporated within 24 hours of application, and efforts will be made to avoid known neighborhood special activities. Composting is the primary method for mortality disposal, with rendering as a backup option. Also submitted was an odor minimization plan. That plan identifies development of a neighbor relations plan, establishment of adequate separation distances, maintenance of clean, dry floors, elimination of manure buildup, prompt cleanup of spilled feed, reduction of feed and water losses, and maintenance of exhaust fans for odor minimization. And then the last plan is the stormwater plan, and that plan calls for vegetative buffers and minimizing soil disturbance, along with silt fence for temporary erosion and sediment control. The applicant does have a water appropriation permit from the DNR. Agriculture zoning is the only district where new feedlots are allowed. The Morrison County Land Use Control Ordinance states the purpose of the agriculture zoning district is to promote and protect areas which have high-quality agriculture lands and are essentially rural in nature. Within this district, agriculture activities shall be given preference over other uses. An environmental review was conducted by the Soil and Water Conservation District. The comments and recommendations from that was that this is a practical request that minimizes movement of livestock. Soils are conducive to barn and pit construction. A permit is required from the Soil and Water Conservation District to fill the Type 1 wetland. No other surrounding wetlands should be affected by this proposal. Roof runoff from the new barn should be directed to the existing catch basin on the west end of the farmstead, and the design engineer should evaluate this area to be sure there is enough capacity for additional stormwater. Biofilters are utilized on the existing barns and will be utilized on the new barn as well for odor reduction. The applicable comprehensive plan goals and objectives is agriculture goal A1, objective 1, objective 4 and 8, goal A2, goal A3, and goal A4. And then under goal 4, objective 1 and 3. And then the Morrison County Comprehensive Water Plan goals and objectives, groundwater goal 1 and 2, surface water goal, objective A, land use and development goal, objective A. 14 notices were sent. One comment was received prior to the hearing. I'll read that. This is from Dwayne Welly. He stated, "I am not able to make the meeting on August 22nd, but would like to submit my concerns. My wife and I can occasionally smell the current operation, and we are not overly concerned with the smell at the current level, but we would not like it to get any worse. If Kurt is going to expand the facility, they need to do a better job curtailing the smells. I worry about the value of our property if the smell becomes much worse." All right, and that is it for that. And here are your conditional use criteria questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Amy. At this time, would applicant have anything else to add to the staff report?
No, I don't.
Okay. So then at this time, we'll open it up to the planning commission. If you guys have any questions for the applicant or staff, now's the time.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Dave.
I'd just like the applicant to describe how much more work you have to do with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency because you're a large feedlot, the things you have to do annually and regularly to maintain your feedlot.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. There's a lot more to do when you go to Tier 4. I don't know, I have some people from Wakefield here that could explain it real well. I'm kind of new because I haven't been Tier 4 yet, but it sounds like quite a bit more.
Okay, if you'd state your name for the record, please, and then if you want to answer that, go ahead.
Sure. My name is Todd Moratz. I work for Wakefield Pork. We manage the livestock at Kurt's facility there, and also work on some of the permitting. So we did have the state come out, do an assessment. There will be a yearly check as far as the site goes. There is, kind of the normal with a state permit going to 1,500 animal units, which is allowed by the county. And the other thing I would like to, kind of mention is, the building, the reason for the expansion that Kurt wants to do is really from a biosecurity standpoint and protect the health of the herd. He's got a couple thousand pedigreed females there, and so it's very important from a genetic standpoint because those offspring not only will supply replacement gilts for other people, but they'll also replace them for themselves. And so it gives them much more opportunity to do the genetics properly, to make sure that the gilts and the pedigreed females are handled properly. And so it'll be about, they'll breed about 40 gilts a week is what this thing will make. And so instead of bringing adult females onto the site, that goes away, and now they'll breed their own genetics and keep those back. And so that's why, within the footprint, there's a nursery, a grower and finisher, and then a gestation just for the gilts, coming through that process. So that's the reason to build it. It's for the safety of the herd. As far as the odor part of it, Kurt was concerned about, making sure, and there's not gonna be zero odor. It's the way it is. I mean, the biofilter's been working well. We've worked closely with odor expert from the University of Minnesota, Erin Cordes. She works directly with us, came out to the site, did an inspection, gave us some recommendations that we can do. And, Kurt wants to be a good neighbor. He wants to make sure that things are run properly. And so we incorporated that into the project.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Amy.
what were the recommendations by the U of M?
Yeah, so some of it was, she looked at the pit additives, and some of it's ongoing because she wanted to look at the fan draw on the fans and the particular gaps within the wood chips on the biofilters, and looked at different designs potentially for the biofilters that are currently there. Some of them are in need of repair, and you can imagine in the wintertime the amount of humid air that comes into that structure. So those are gonna need to get replaced, and probably use some different material so that they hold up better. It's kind of like a corn crib, when you don't want to attract any wildlife within there because it's a warm place in the wintertime, but it's an awful lot of humidity, and we can do a nice job with the mitigation of the odor as we're constructing those.
Okay. Did it help you, Dave, at all, or?
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to confirm that there is additional oversight once you're over 1,000 animal units by MPCA, as well as the county feedlot officer and soil and water conservation district, and the normal oversight.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Amy.
When a hog feedlot gets to 1,000 animal units or more, that automatically goes under MPCA feedlot oversight. So our feedlot officer will not handle this facility if it's expanded. So So the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency will have that jurisdiction regardless of us having a delegated feedlot agreement. And then also, then there comes with some of the NPDES requirements, zero discharge, zero runoff. All of that must be contained with an MPCA site. So this will change from county oversight to state oversight when it comes to the feedlot regulations if this expansion is approved.
Okay, thank you, Amy.
Mr. Chair,
Just hold on, you done, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Marv.
a couple of questions. You stated that you had a 93% offset rating there. Is that the projected, or is that what it is now?
Mr. Chair, I'm just going to go back to that slide here real quick. That came from, give me just a second to find it here. I got to find it in my slides. Oh, here. That's including the additional barn is 93%.
So can we answer what the offset rating is now? Because you're going to have additional, and they're changing some items there.
I'd have to check the environmental review to see if one was run on the existing operation. Give me 1 second and I can look to see if it was run for the existing.
And why I'm asking that question, I think we all know the smells with the hogs and the complaints we get with this here. So,
It was not, the model was not run on the existing operation. So I'm not able to tell you what exactly that is. The only thing I could do, if you really want it, is I can look back at the original application, because I'm sure we ran it on that.
okay, and otherwise, to follow up, Mr. Willie's concern about the smells getting worse, if your offset rating is getting better, they're doing a better job, that would alleviate that, and that's, might help, the commissioners and I approve something like this, so that would help matters in that respect. Another question is, there's, he was allowed to have a Tier 3 here and ran it for a few years, and it had these conditions. Track record in the past, has there been any complaints? Has he been abiding by the regulations and conditions that were in place?
Yes, the biofilters have been in place and installed and maintained. The feedlot was inspected prior to this expansion, and it was found to be compliant. So there are no violations or issues at this present time, nor have there been from when the barns were first built and stocked.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Dave.
perhaps we should clarify that 93% odor
Hold on
offset.
1 second, please.
We do have the original odor offset that was run.
Yeah, that's in
Okay.
2017.
Yep, I can pull it up too.
Okay, thank you.
Just, yeah, do you want to just have him tell you what it was?
Can you just tell us what it was?
Jeff Bauman and Ez Consulting in Wilmer. We originally did this in using just 70% of biofilters, treated air coming out of just the one barn. We were at 91%.
Okay.
So typically what we would see in, when we run these, if we had run this prior to the new barn, we would probably see 94%. Even adding one barn does not changes it very little from the established barn. Now, what that is saying that 7% of the time, that closest neighbor, so 7% of the hours in a month, so maybe 2 days a month, that neighbor would notice that smell if the wind was always from the direction. So if they were the closest neighbors to the northwest, so if the wind was from the southeast, every day of the month, they would possibly have smelled 2 days a month.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Dave.
Just in the past, we've always used 91% as the minimum standard, correct? And this exceeds that.
Up until recently, we had a performance, standard within the ordinance that required feedlots to at least be at a 91% offset rating. That is no longer a requirement, but we still provide this information just for your information, but it's not a requirement they need to meet.
Okay, but 91% was considered an acceptable level at the time.
Correct. They would not have needed to get a variance for that because it was 91%. But that was also with the understanding that biofilters were going to be treating some of that air, and they are.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for the applicant or staff?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Brent.
question for Curtis, and maybe if I can bug Amy to slide back to the overview of the location. Maybe just explain where the structure is going to go, and then explain the filling in of low-lying lands that needed to be accomplished there. I think we heard about that.
Well, the nursery part or the addition will be like in the southeast corner of the gestation barn, as you can see there in the orange. And there is a small type 6 wetland there that soil and water came out. We got a permit. If it's under a certain size, it's not a big deal. But that'll be dug out because that's actually where the manure pit will be. So it's not gonna get filled in. It'll actually be dug out for the pit for the new facility if I get a permit.
Okay.
Here's a copy of the engineered print on where that's going to be located.
I'll mark it as Exhibit 1.
Does that answer that for you, Brent? Do you need more? or-
Yep, no, I'm good, thanks.
Okay. John, you have anything?
No, sir.
Okay. So I was looking, Curtis, I was looking through your manure management plan. I read through the whole thing. It looks like it's well documented and all that. You are kind of at the threshold on that phosphorus with the total acres. So you still meet it, but you're right at the threshold. I'm assuming you got more acres that you could come up with from neighbors and things like that. Are you working on something like that?
Yeah, I got 2 other people that are interested in some manure also.
Okay,
And actually, 2 of the farmers that are taking manure now asked me about if they could cover more
Yep.
acres in the future. And I said, well, we don't know, how
Yep.
much exactly
yep,
gallons we're gonna produce yet
Yep.
with the addition, so.
Okay.
But so that, we kinda got that covered because the 2 that are getting it right now are willing
Yeah.
to take more, so.
and that's why I asked, because I
Yep,
noticed that a couple of the names on here are
Yep.
a lot larger farmers than
Yes,
what they're
they are.
taking, so.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so I think that was that. How far away, just can you, the Mr. Welly that wrote in the comment, how far away does he live in what direction?
He lives just about straight east of the facility, a little bit southeast, and he's over a half mile away,
Okay,
so.
okay. I think that was all I had for questions at this time. We'll have some comments once we get through the public statement here, but, you guys good for, get ready for, audience? Okay, so at this time, I'll open it up to the public to come and comment, either for or against this applicant. If you'd please go up to the podium, state your name for the record, and, if you have any questions, direct them to me. We'll write them down when we get done with the public comment, then we will answer them questions. Okay, so go ahead.
Good evening, Dave Bergen. And I have a handout. May I hand it out to the committee?
Yes, sir.
Start with me, please. Yes, ma'am. I just need to mark these as exhibits, and do you have a copy for the applicant as well? Of course. Okay, thank you. I'll mark this as Exhibit 2.
I'm Dave Bergen. I'm the one that lives to the northwest, as Mr. Wakefield alluded to. What I have in here is just some information about what the current status of, in fact, nothing against Mr. Plant. I don't want to stand in somebody's way and make a living. In fact, my 2 children work for Mr. Justin over there in child labor law, I guess. A couple of things I want to point out right now, and it kind of lays it out in this front paper. There's a couple of things that you should be aware of. First thing, if you look on your map and your ordinance, I think your ordinance says that the pig barn and supporting structures can be 1,320 feet from homestead. Is that correct? It's in this booklet.
We'll answer it after.
To answer that now.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, the nearest animal holding area needs to be 1,320 feet from every residence, from the home.
Okay, I'm confused because your ordinance doesn't say animal holding area. It says structures, manure storage area, facilities, and manure application sites. So everything underneath one umbrella from what I read here. It doesn't say anything about animal holding structures. That's on page 131 of your ordinance?
Yep, those would be, as we define a feedlot, it would be anything associated with the feedlot, which is the animal holding areas and the manure holding areas is what
Because
that
right now,
setback
the
is.
supporting structures are within that 1,320-foot zone. Just
But they're
where
not
we're at.
animal holding areas.
No, but your ordinance is not clear on that, so I want to bring that to light.
Okay, thank you.
Second one is right now, they are using a township road to the north as their ingress and egress. And we're looking at possibly doubling the traffic on that road, if I remember right. I'm asking for confirmation from the board.
Do you want to maybe give them a little guidance?
Sure. How long's your presentation gonna be?
How much time do you give me?
Well, just how long?
About another 5 minutes.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay,
So
my
you
question, I
gotta,
just have questions,
just,
that's all.
just, normally what we do is when you ask a question, we wait till we're all done, then we answer them.
Okay.
So do you have a lot of questions or just a
No, I
few?
have 2 questions, 2 points on here.
Okay,
That's all. The one was a question about within the 1,320-foot zone. The second one is, we have a township road that we're looking at doubling basically the traffic on right now. And that township road joins my place, joins Mary's place, Jim's place, everyone along here joins their place. And my understanding, that township road is a 5-ton road when there's road restrictions on. And we have large trucks going over there that are more than 5 tons per axle during road restrictions. And that road is just getting worse because of it, and they can put as much gravel on as they want, but the road is not designed to handle that kind of weight and that kind of traffic. And Justin has quite a few folks that work there, and that's gonna probably double with this facility, I'm assuming, or at least go up by a percentage. I don't know the exact numbers. So now you're asking for a township road that's rated as 5 tons during restrictions to handle even more traffic. And it comes off on the north side, they slide down the ditch, it's very hard on the road. My suggestion, and the rest of our people's suggestion representing is, why can't we have this road go to the 9-ton road to the south? And I put diagrams and stuff in there to help support that idea. The reason being is that's a 9-ton road, it's a tarred road, our road is a gravel road, it's not designed for that kind of traffic year-round.
okay.
And the last one that's not on this list at all is, my experience has been, my 2 children work there, my 1 son has worked there, I believe, 3 years. Justin's been a great manager to them, by the way. If he doesn't get a raise for this, I don't know what the hell's wrong with you guys. But with that in mind, my son comes home, my daughter comes home, it is what it is. The part that smells the worst in that facility is not the pig barn itself. It's the compost pit that sits outside. We farm. Does anybody else farm in here? Does anybody else smell a dead ditch and a dead deer in a ditch? Stinks, doesn't it? Well, imagine that multiplied times hundreds. It's in a sawdust pile. So my son comes home, I said, oh, you were in loadout. And to them, loadout is I've hauled out dead pigs and put them in the compost pile and rolled them up. That's the part for all of our neighbors that smells so darn bad. My poor neighbor Mary here lives directly to the north of that, and that funnels down her driveway, and you can smell it stand right in front of her house. So imagine the smell of a dead deer or a dead rotting cow at your house a lot. And that's the smell that really gets to all of us. It's not the pig barn itself, it's the dead animals that are sitting outside. And if anybody here has smelled dead animals at the farm, it doesn't smell very good. You try to get rid of that smell right away. So that's our things. Kurt is a great steward. Kurt's a great neighbor. Justin's a great boss. He takes care of the kids. It's just that I look at the township road really can't handle that much more traffic. And the fact that the smell of a dead animal constantly is very difficult to handle all the time. Anything else? So there's my supporting documents, some numbers on it if you have questions. Mary?
Okay, thank you.
I'm Mary Bartlett, and as Dave said, I live directly across the road from the pig barn, and I agree Kurt has been great. He's stepped up and tried to curtail the odors that come from there. However, the smells at my house have hindered me from hanging my laundry out. I can't open my windows. The smell is overwhelming, and since we had the township meeting, 4 or 5 months ago, the smells did improve. However, the last 2 weeks now, they have once again increased, and it is just not pleasant, and I worry about the value of my home. If another barn goes in and the smells increase, what's that gonna do to our home values? Nobody's gonna wanna buy it if they come and that's the overwhelming smell when they get out of their car. So that's my concern, the smell. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Yeah, I'm Jim Cole from Ripley Township, and we would have to get together with the board to decide what to do on those roads, if anything. The one that goes on the west side has been a problem for years, washboarding and everything else. As far as the smell, I'm far enough away, it doesn't bother me, but I feel bad for these guys. They're all friends, so anything we can do to help them out and help Kurt out, we'll try and do something. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Glenn, you want to talk about that road? He's from Township.
Glenn Pugh with Ripley Township. The road coming off County Road 49, it gets washboardy, but it's not from the big truck traffic. Township Road is normally 22 feet wide. That one's 25 feet, 6 inches. That part of the road won't have a problem with the trucks. And the other one that goes down to the barn off that road, I'm not sure about. But the one coming off 49, that's a good road.
Okay, so what tonnage is that road on the north that they're
We
utilizing
consider
now?
pretty much all of our roads 9-ton roads. We got milk trucks, manure haulers on all of our roads, and
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Amy?
So, Mr. Pugh, is 273rd Street a 5-ton or a 9-ton?
Jim? Are they 5? Yeah, we never really have anything.
Okay, so 273rd is a 5-ton?
Is that what you,
Okay. And then 268th Street?
the county line road? I'm not sure what they got that one. Probably the same.
Okay, thank you.
My name's Jim Strahl, and I know these Wakefield boys don't live by a pig barn at all. Just like Dave said, you cannot stand it when the wind is out of, like, for us, and we live in Crow Wing County, by the way. This ain't not, but it's terrible. And we gotta have something different set up for the smell setup we got going here. Kurt's a hell of a good friend of mine, but he don't have nothing to do with it. It's these Wakefield boys that need to get their together. And like Mary said, that the smell is terrible over that way. And the wind's out of the south, and it's been out of the south for quite a spell lately. And like Kurt, he called me the other day, he said they changed some stuff around. It helped a little bit, yes, but now we got this muggy weather, we're back in our same boat again. I mean, and I know these Wakefield boys, you guys don't live by a pig barn at all, do ya? How close do you live?
We'll ask that, you can't ask them directly.
I mean, it's terrible.
Any other public comment?
My name is Justin Sankey. I'm the unit manager at the unit here. Just want to speak as for the traffic. There won't be any more traffic than we presently have. No more employees will be hired than we currently have to fulfill the positions that we have at the farm there. So the traffic load will stay the same. And in fact, with the addition, there'll be less truck traffic because the goal is to be, like Todd stated, to be full in-house for our genetics, so we'll have less animals getting delivered to the unit. No more animals will be getting delivered, so there'll be less semis actually coming to the unit for that. There's a feed truck that already comes during the week time. He would still come to feed the pigs that we would add if this is approved for that. So, but as for employees, we wouldn't have any more traffic than the vehicles that we have currently at now.
Okay, Justin, I have one question for you. Okay, so with the addition of another barn, you'll have more feed trucks coming in.
Yep.
But you're gonna have less animals leaving, so the traffic should be kind of a wash. It should be about the same as what you're stating.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And the small pigs, you know, the nursery pigs, those are.
Just hold on,
I'm sorry.
just hold on. Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Just one more time before we close this portion of public. Any more public comment? Okay, we'll close this portion of meeting to public for a comment. So go ahead if you wanted to.
Yeah, I was just gonna follow up with Justin on the feed. There is gonna be more feed. But, you know, with nursery pigs, baby pigs, that's bagged feed, so those are all hand-fed. It doesn't come in on a semi,
Yep.
so.
Okay. Okay, so we got some stuff here. So I think that kind of, Mr. Bergen, he talked about double the traffic. I think it's gonna stay the same. It ain't gonna get any less, but it's gonna stay about the same. We talked about the township road. I think that's something that, probably the township and Curtis Plant and his family can work on that. I mean, unless the commissioners would have something, that they'd want it done ahead of time. Amy, you have anything?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to, if we could, circle back to the township, because I guess I don't think we got a straight answer from the township as far as, do you have concerns about your road and the impact of the truck traffic on the road and the safety of the traveling public at this point? I guess you're the road authority, so I just wanted to make sure that that's very clear, what the township's thoughts are on that.
No, we don't. I know we've had complaints about the washboard road and all the complaints we get, the residents. We don't have any residents right on that road, but it's not the trucks creating the washboards. It comes out and it goes uphill. And we've been out there and watched the cars and the side-by-sides and the four-wheelers, and everybody's stepping on it so hard, and tires are doing this, and it keeps chopping. When the trucks come in, they're not much more than 20 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour. So we don't have any concerns about the roads. The washboards, and this summer it's been worse than others because it's so dry, you can't grade them when they're dry. It doesn't work.
Okay, thank you.
But the grader does hit that road. That's the most graded road in our township.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I guess there was one question on here, so you kind of brought up, so maybe Curtis, you can answer about the dead animals. Do you have a composting shed, or is it just laying there ready for the running truck, or what would they be talking about with dead animals?
Yeah, there's a composting building with 5 separate units, and kind of starting to do some different things with this, because I know that's the biggest odor that we gotta deal with, so we're working with the University of Minnesota on different things we can do to make that better.
Okay.
And I think part of it is bringing in fresh material sooner, put it out on the field, getting it turned. Probably went, I know it did, it went longer than any of us would have liked it. Nobody's disputing that had some odor coming out of it. There's certainly things we can do from a management standpoint to have it better. You know, and in reference, you know, we have another sow unit in Morrison County, and it is exactly like this one. And, you know, just going back and take a little offense to, you know, Wakefield, but we've been in this area for 20 years. We started with 2 growers, now we're over 40 farm families that we work with, and we're dang proud of that. We're proud of the facilities that we have, the employees that we have, and the growers that we have that contribute to this community. People like Kurt and others that are good, upstanding neighbors that want to do the right thing, that go through the formal process and make sure that everything is done properly. And just one other comment, the owner of Wakefield Pork, Steve Langhorst, lives within a quarter mile of a sow unit, just like this one.
Okay. The board have anything else?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, John.
you mentioned management could take a different approach or a different perspective, such as what?
Well, I think, you know, some of the things, you know, when working with the University of Minnesota, we've doubled the amount of pit additive that we can add to kind of help break up the solids. But I think the biggest thing on this situation is really, you took about half the compost out this spring. We'll take the other half out this fall and get on a regular schedule with that. You know, and composts are different. You know, it depends how they work. It depends the material that you use, depends how many animals come in. And, you know, it kind of goes on a case-by-case basis. And so, you know, through the process, you went through COVID, we had some disease issues in the area. That's not the time to be, you know, messing with a lot of that stuff, but we were able to get it out and need to be on a, you know, more regimented schedule with that.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Amy.
As far as for the active, I assume you actively manage your compost as far as you've got your layering and your carbon and that you're turning. Is that just not done frequently enough or not enough carbon? Or have you pinpointed kind of what the issue is that where the compost isn't breaking down the way it should be?
Yeah, I think the material, it's always better to use fresher material more often. Now, when it's broken down, that material can get reused as a carbon source, but over time it loses its efficiency and effectiveness. And so at some point you got to rip it all out and start fresh again.
Okay.
And that's the part of the management that'll really help reduce some of the odor coming off of the compost. And that's why I think, you know, when we took half of it out, Kurt put it on the field, came in with fresh material, that was kind of, oh, it got better. And now we got the other half to do and do the same thing.
Does that answer that for you, John, or?
It does. And I don't know the answer to this question, so I'm gonna ask, is the carbon material expensive?
Is it expensive?
Yeah.
It depends where you get it from. Not typically. It's, you know, we get it by the truckload. It's, I don't know, $100 a truckload. So, I mean, it's
So
not-
is it
not
expensive?
huge expense.
That's inexpensive.
Okay, got it. So it wouldn't be anything to the operation. This is what I'm trying to get at, are we cutting corners where we can to see until we piss off enough neighbors to then all of a sudden say, hey, we're gonna add more carbon and see if we have less pissed off neighbors? That's all I'm asking.
It's not the goal.
Okay, got it, thanks.
Okay, I don't have any questions, but I do got some comments. I do have a cabin myself personally on CB Lake, so I drive by the plant's operation quite regularly. And I will say, living on a farm myself and living on a gravel road and on part of my farming operations on gravel, I will say that road going north is probably the most graded road in the county. And it's still washboardy, and it's from just the way the road is. Going north side of plant's operation, I can't talk to that. But one thing I will say is sitting on this board and we try to decide where we're gonna put things in ag, where we're gonna put things in residential, where we're gonna put things in commercial and all that stuff. You gotta remember this is ag. And me as a fellow farmer, I wrote down a note that I'm pretty well known in the ag community, and Mr. Plant has a pretty good reputation with the other ag people in the county, okay? And I always thought before this meeting ever occurred, the last few years driving by, looking at that operation and how we run this board and we come up with these ordinances and where we put these certain farms. Challenge anybody in this room to tell me where we could put one any better than where that place is. Yes, we have some neighbors that can smell it, but everything smells. The boat works in Little Falls stunk. I would never live there, so I don't. It's what you get used to. I'm not saying you can't get used to hog manure, but where else are we gonna put these things? I think his operation, just from the outside looking in, is a very well run, in my experience. We all like to eat. So that's just some things that I see personally, that I see in my eyes. That dead animal composting building type thing, I kind of know a little bit about that. And that's a tricky thing. But I will tell you one thing, composting and doing that is a lot better than probably leaving them animals lay out in the yard and wait for the rendering truck to come get them. And it's better than burying them. So hopefully, they said they're gonna work with university and different things and try and get that solved, and I hope that happens. That is a bad smell, I will tell you. Let's see what else.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Marv.
on that, I want to piggyback, and it concerns me, and I think we all know people that live by these barns that are unhappy with the smells. And, you know, here at Wakefield, you know, obviously does a good job running the operation, but he said, we'll try this and we'll try that. And sometimes talk is cheap, and that's what I'm wondering, is there an opportunity as us as a board to put a condition or something on, rather than once we start hearing neighbors complaining about it, well, we'll try to do something else. So is there a method of putting some condition on that they meet a certain criteria? I'm just throwing something out there right now at that.
I personally, I'd say no, Marv, and here's why. I think these composting sites are great, and that's the way of the future, but I think it's too new a science, and there's a lot of things that we can do. Who's gonna regulate that? If the commissioners wanna do that, they can put it on it, but who in the county is gonna regulate that? You know, how do you determine, we already did the odor offset, how do you do an odor offset just for that? Am I correct in my thinking?
Well, Mr. Chair, the offset is, all that is a model, and it's a predictor. But of course, we all know that odor is certainly a very individual experience. And so someone's experience or reported experience living next to this facility might be different than someone else's. So it's very subjective. However, I think the applicant has admitted that there are some operational improvements that could be made that will help. And that's really comes down to, this is a conditional use permit that's granted to the land. So we know how Mr. Plant is operating and intends to operate. But this is a permit that runs with the land, so if Mr. Plant were to decide to sell his farm, this is the time to be looking at what those minimum operational expectations should be for this. Technology and order control changes all the time, and so we certainly don't want to paint anyone into a corner with utilizing antiquated order technology, but we certainly can set the expectation that they are, at least when it comes to composting of mortalities, there is a known method for that is observed to be effective, and that there should be an expectation that that is kept up with. So I would say, if you're looking at conditions, think beyond Mr. Plant, because this is going to be something that's going to operate well into the future. and have that condition be broad enough to allow the operator to incorporate any new technology that might come that way, but set that expectation that that is observed and implemented.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Dave.
neighbors have the right to complain and to call in complaints, correct? Where would they go with their complaints?
Well, it depends on what the complaint is.
I mean, on this particular issue, the order of the composting.
We don't, so hydrogen sulfide is the gas coming from a facility like this that there is an air quality standard for that. Minnesota Pollution Control Agency can do air monitoring, and if it's exceeding that, that's an issue, that's an MPCA air quality issue, but that's not normally going to come from composting, that's gonna come from the manure pit. The pit additives is what is going to keep that, and the crusting of the pit is what's gonna hold that down. So unless there is an air quality standard set for a particular odor, there really isn't anything that I would be able to do or the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency would be able to do if it's not violating some air quality standard.
But at the very least, they could complain. There could be a site visit to see if there's anything that's really extraordinary, you know, that's being overlooked and not being complied with.
Correct.
And would that be to MPCA or would that be to Morrison County?
That would be the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency.
In Brainerd.
Correct, that would be out of the Brainerd office.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody have anything else, or are we ready for the questions? Okay. Okay, question 1. The use will not put an excess burden on roadways, utilities, and public facilities such as parks and schools. Dave Stish.
I'd like to start off by saying that the applicant has done an excellent job of answering all these questions, and the answers that he has could, you know, serve well as our answers too. So I just refer to the answers in there. We've already addressed the amount of traffic, no change, perhaps even a reduction, which he's got stated here. The roadway has been addressed by the township, and history is that when we've tried to condition something in a road, the commissioners have deferred to the fact that the county has, or the township, if it's a township road, the township has to step up to meet the needs of the use. And so it sounds like they're doing that and maybe have to step it up a little more. So no excess burden on public facilities is anticipated.
Okay, anybody have anything to add to question 1? If not, we'll move to question 2. The request will not be detrimental to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for uses predominant area. Marvin?
On the most part, it has and it will. The only concerns I have here, the composting has been brought up, and it sounds like it's trying to be addressed. And I'm kind of recommending that when this comes to the commissioner level, that they may put on a condition or something that would help address that. Otherwise, with a 93% offset rating for the other operation, it falls within the parameters, and it's it's ag property, and Mr. Plant does a great operation running it, and it sounds like the rest of this operation has been ran well and fits well in there. And other than composting, it's definitely a yes.
Okay, anybody have anything to add to question 2? Now we'll move on to question 3. The use and opinion of the planning commission is reasonably related to the existing land use and the environment. Groundwater, surface water, and air quality in the surrounding area will not be adversely affected by the proposed use. John?
Well, the applicant answers this throughout the entire application, in addition to all of the information that the MPCA needs to submit and is going to monitor at this juncture. So those requirements are met, and the applicants addressed them and answered them as well.
Okay, anybody else have anything to add to question 3? If not, we'll move to question 4. The use is consistent with the purposes of the zoning ordinance and the purposes of the zoning district in which the applicant intends to locate the proposed use. I'll take that one. Yes, it is. It's zone ag. This is a use with a tier 4 feedlot permit. That is allowed. That's why we're here, is for the applicant to ask to be moved up 1 tier. I think throughout his application, when you look at the manure management plan, the plans that they have written, the way the operation is run, I think they meet all that criteria to be able to ask for this. So yes, I would answer yes to question 4. The use is consistent with the purpose of the zoning ordinance in this zoning district. Anybody else have anything to add to question 4? Okay, we'll move to question 5. The use is not in conflict with the comprehensive plan or the water plan of the county. Brent?
I don't believe that it's in conflict. In fact, I think it's exactly where it needs to be. Feedlots are allowed in the ag zoning district of the county by the comp plan. We are provided with information here tonight that this is a practical request as stated by the Soil and Water Conservation District. Moving forward, this is going to be under MPCA with a zero discharge and zero runoff with respect to the water plan of the county. So I do not believe or see where it's in conflict with it.
Okay, thank you, Brent. Anybody else have anything to add to question 5? Okay. Before we vote, quick, I just have one comment, because I forgot earlier, I wanted to state Mr. Bergen for his literature that he put. Thank you. This is what we look for in these meetings, not coming and saying that the neighbor's dog barked too loud. We like data and things like this, so just thank you for putting that together. That helps us tremendously, and there's something to go off, so I just wanted to say if we had this at every meeting, that'd make everything a lot easier too, wouldn't it, guys? But we're gonna go vote, so. Okay, question 1, the use will not put an excess burden on roadways, utilities, and public facilities such as parks and schools. Dave?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Myself, Clint is yes. Brent?
Yes.
Question 2, the request will not be detrimental to the use and enjoyment of the other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for the use's predominant area. Marvin?
With conditions, yes.
John?
Yes.
Myself, Clint is yes. Brent?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Okay. Question 3, the use in the opinion of the planning commission is reasonably related to the existing land use and the environment. Groundwater, surface water, and air quality in the surrounding area will not be adversely affected by the proposed use. John?
Yes.
Myself, Clint is yes. Brent?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yes.
Question 4, the use is consistent with the purposes of the zoning ordinance and the purposes of the zoning district in which the applicant intends to locate the proposed use. Myself, Clint is yes. Brent?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Question 5, the use is not in conflict with the comprehensive plan or the water plan of the county. Brent,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Marvin,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
myself, Clint is yes. Okay, so at this time, I'd take a motion for a recommendation of approval. I don't know, Marvin, you had some conditions?
Well, like I said, I'm hoping that somehow the commissioners can come up with a method of controlling the smell at the compost time. Otherwise, I have not a problem with it.
So how do we put that in the?
Mr. Chair, it's really up to the Planning Commission whether or not you're going to recommend approval with a condition or not. You know, the county board is here, they're hearing this conversation. If you are just strongly recommending that they consider a condition, or if you want to craft one for them to consider with your recommendation, that would be up to the board.
Thank you, Amy. Marv, whatever you want, you're the one that said that yes with conditions, so that's why I'm asking.
Mr. Chair, I do not want to craft one. I think the commissioners are smart enough, and there's enough individuals that give input. They've dealt with enough hog barns in the past. If they feel a need, they will do something. I'm just making a recommendation that we do something at that point. But no, I don't think we're time and a place for us to craft one.
So then you would say yes to question 2 without the condition?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, now we'll take a motion to recommend approval to the County Board of Commissioners.
Mr. Chair, I'd make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to recommend approval to the Board of Commissioners. All in favor say aye. Brent?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Marvin?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Myself, Clint is aye. Okay, so this will recommend approval to the county board, and their meeting will be August 29th. If you have any questions between now and then, please contact Amy or staff at Land Services. Thank you. Yep, yep. I gotta get ready too.
Yep, yep, so, yeah, we had it, okay, so,
And I get that, you know.
yep. Maybe try to, that's, you talked, when they tried to change this.
So if you guys in the back, if you want to continue your conversation outside, it'd be appreciated. We got a couple more agenda items to get through here. Okay, we're gonna move on to our second item on the agenda, and that would be Randy and Amy Schma, 21802 63rd Street, Royalton. Application for an after-the-fact conditional use permit to continue mini storage and sheds located in point of the south half of southeast quarter, section 21, township 39, range 31, Bellevue Township. Would applicants state their name for the record, please?
Randy Schmale.
Amy Schmale.
Okay, thank you. Amy, you ready for the staff report?
I am, Mr. Chair. Again, this is an application for an after-the-fact conditional use permit to continue and expand a storage business located in Section 21 of Bellevue Township. The ordinance reference for this request is Section 604.5, and that does require a conditional use permit for storage rental facilities. And here is a plat map of the township, and the red dot is the location of the parcel. And then here is the permit request from the applicant, along with a site drawing also provided by the applicant. And then here's an aerial photograph of the property. The property is made up of 2 parcels for a total of 15 acres, and the applicant does live on site. The permitting history of the property includes a permit for a 70 by 200 storage shed for personal storage in 2015 and a 60 by 152-foot shed for personal storage in 2018. And then here is the aerial photograph with the two parcels outlined in blue and yellow. In June 2023, the property owner submitted a permit application to construct a 60 by 175-foot shed for personal storage. Review of the aerial photographs and further inquiry revealed the two sheds that had been permitted in 2015 and 2018, along with a proposed shed, were being utilized for boat storage for customers of the applicant's employer, which is a marine business. The applicant was informed that a conditional use permit is required for a storage business, and the June 2023 application was put on hold. The applicant is requesting an after-the-fact conditional use permit to continue the boat storage business and to expand it through the construction of an additional 60 by 175-foot shed. The storage business is very controlled. Once the boat is winterized, the applicant takes the boat from his place of employment to his sheds at his home property. In the spring, the boat is transported by the applicant back to the marine business where the customer picks up the boat. No service or winterizing is performed at the storage location. The third building would eliminate the outdoor storage of boats that is presently occurring on the site. The property is served by 63rd Street, which is also known as County Road 234, which is a paved county road. The existing driveway provides access to the buildings. The applicable comprehensive plan goals and objectives is agriculture, goal A1 and A2, objective 1, and local economic development, goal C1, objective 8, goal C2, objectives 1 and 19. 13 notices were sent regarding this item and no comment was received prior to the public hearing. And then here are your conditional use criteria questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Amy. At this time, would the applicants have anything to add to the staff report?
The shed will be smaller because I can't afford the 60 by 175, so it will be 25 feet shorter.
Okay. So it'd be by 150.
60 by 152, 154, somewhere in there. 25 less than what was.
Okay. Would the planning commission have any questions for the applicant or staff? You gotta have a list, Dave.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Dave.
just to confirm with the applicant that you plan, I mean, obviously you were unaware that you needed a conditional use permit for storage? Or you overlooked it somehow?
Well, it was more of it's a seasonal thing. I don't have anybody hired. I've been in the marine industry 30 years, and I just trying to better myself for the future, and I get my neighbor, Donald Kloss and all them, they put stuff in the sheds. I mean, I rent our other land to him, so, and that's why we were gonna put it there. Dean Zimmerman puts stuff in her sheds during the summer. It's just,
Sure.
looking, trying to better myself, and, you know, the land's been in my family since 1919. Very important to me. I've really cleaned it up and, you know, get a lot of compliments because I really take a lot of pride in my property. I guess just trying to better myself and my family.
Now, with the addition of this shed, there will be no more need for outside storage?
No,
Okay.
I can't. There's no money. Last winter, I got out there gotta sweep them off every time, and I'm getting to the age, and no, I don't. I just want to put them in there, I work at Miller Marine. I've been there, but they're not Miller Marine customers. They're my customers. I mean, Miller does the work there, but I do have a drawn up contract that was drawn up, so and we do.
Pickups and deliveries.
Yeah, I take them back to people, to their landings too, in the spring. So even though I work there, they help me get some business, but a lot of my business is actually word of mouth from neighbors that live on lakes, because they take up a lot of space, and people just love to have a good time there in the, then the summer, and then when fall comes, what do we do with it? And they're just cold storage, there's no electricity in them, they're just dirt floors. It's basically a beautiful building to get them out of the elements and back to them in the spring.
Yeah, from even looking just at pictures in Beacon, you do have a very attractive property. I drove by the other day, and very well taken care of.
Thank you. It means a lot to me. I mean, there's times in the spring and the fall, I work 7 days a week, 100 hours a week. But I love to work, and I just wanted to better my family and have them, the land, like I said, has been in my family since 1919. I never ever want to lose it. And I just want someone I got 2 sons, thankfully, and I mean, that's why I would love to pass it down.
Yep, and that's part of the ordinance is that to encourage guys like you to do things like you're doing. So, yeah, but we do need permits.
Yes.
Yeah, you can see from the picture here, very well cared for property, and it's got a contour to it that it's not even obvious that you have the far back building back there, and so, okay, you've answered my questions, thank you. You did a good job of answering the criteria questions too,
appreciate
so.
Okay, anybody else have anything? Brent?
Mr. Chair, maybe a quick question for Randy and Amy. You said that the goal here is not to have any outdoor storage. It looks on this photo that's up on the screen now, there's maybe 10, 12 shrink-wrapped boats out there. Is that the goal, is to keep those
They
in?
take up a lot of space. You get a 34-foot pontoon, and you get a 60 by, 154 shed. You get probably roughly around 20 units, 22 units in it. So that's the goal. I have, people asking me for spots, and
He doesn't want to do the shrink wrapping anymore, to go out and break off the snow every snowstorm.
Last winter was brutal. I says, what am I thinking?
Well, and in storage operations, having things outside storage that sometimes is, frowned upon from, aesthetics and driving by and looking at things, but it is your goal not to have things out?
There won't be any outdoor, let's put it this way, see the blue stuff there? You won't see that ever again.
Would you be opposed to having a condition that says no outdoor storage?
I have no
Everything
problem
would
with
be
that.
indoor?
Absolutely, have no problem with that.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, anybody else?
Mr.
Marvin?
Chair.
Go ahead, Marvin.
A couple of comments. First, I want to reiterate, you had said that nobody else is coming on and off the property. You're basically the one that's putting them in
Yes,
there?
I take them to the landing in the spring. I meet them at, anywhere from Brainerd to not Cross the Lake, but Clearwater and stuff like that. So and then if it's on a trailer, usually it goes right back to the service center at Miller and St. Cloud. So.
Okay.
I have insurance we're insured, I'm insured on the road. I have American Family, Joe Schumer, and we're liable on the road with it. They have to have insurance on it, but yet we're still liable. I still have coverage too. They know
Okay.
that we do that.
Next comment, Randy. So this is ag area and is supporting ag in the community. And I don't know if the rest of the board members are familiar when you're talking Donald Kloss,
Yep.
Dean Zimmerman. They were classmates, friends of mine. They're farmers right next door. So you are supporting them in the ag area for the rest of
And
these to
they
know.
rent on the field.
They rent that part of the field
want
from
to
us.
landlock his pivot, no, we would never do that.
Okay.
Donald Kloss and Kathy have been great we have a lot of great neighbors. We've always, no one leaves and nobody comes in.
So you are supporting ag in the ag area by that also. Just want to let that be known here.
Yeah, that's important to us. I grew up, farming my dad farmed, his whole life before he died in 2011. And yeah, farming's extremely, I was up in the haylofts a lot of times in, my life, and yeah, no, wherever, and even the neighbors around there, whenever they need help, we help each other. We're always, you know, if I need something, they come and help me. If they need something, I'll go help them. That's just the way all the neighbors around there. I actually snow blow with my tractor, with the blower, all the neighbors down there, all the whole section, and don't charge. I just do it because that's what neighbors do, so.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, if not, one question, Amy. On this conditional use permit, it isn't super important on the size of the shed, is it?
No, it would, we certainly specify when they say, so what I would do is, since he amended the size, that's what I would put in the conditional use permit. It certainly would be something where he would only be allowed that one building, and it would be that size or smaller.
Okay.
Can I add something?
Sure.
Yep. Go ahead, Randy.
It will be the last shed.
I was just gonna say, he could, once permitted, he could get more buildings, couldn't he?
If he came in for another conditional use permit, because that's intensification of the use. And the ordinance does require, if you're adding building space or intensifying the use in that way, it would require another visit to the planning commission.
So
That's why we frame what exactly they're going to do within this one, so it's clear.
okay, so Randy, are you sure on the building size then?
Yeah, because we couldn't, the price was.
Okay, so what size for sure
It's
is
gonna be 60 by 154.
154, okay.
It's 25, or was it 150?
152.
152, my apologies.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I really had, so I guess we'll open up the public comment. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? I got asked 3 times, so I'll ask one more time. Is there any public comment? Hearing none, we'll close this portion of the meeting to the public. You guys ready to go through the criteria questions, or you guys got anything to discuss or any more questions before we do that? If not, we'll go to the criteria questions. Okay. Question 1, the use will not put an excess burden on roadways, utilities, and public facilities such as parks and schools. Marvin?
I don't believe it will, and it will not, so it'd be yes, and I would answer it that way, and the reason why is here, it's on a main tar road. Has no utilities that it'll be affecting, and it's, the road supports what he'd be hauling in and out of there. There's no schools or parks near it, and it fits well in the ag area.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have anything to add to question 1? If not, we'll move to question 2. The request will not be detrimental to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor impede the normal and orderly development improvement of the surrounding vacant property for uses predominant area. John?
Haven't heard a single complaint, haven't heard any public comment, nobody called in, emailed in. And as Marv said, there's, it's all the same traffic that's going in and out of there already, so that's it.
Anybody have anything to add to question 2?
Mr. Chair, just like to add that applicant has 15 acres. This looks like a typical farm setup, with pole buildings. So, fits in well with the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say is with doing away with the outside storage, people that drive by are just gonna think it's a bunch of farm sheds. So it fits very well in the ag as far as eye appealing. Okay, so question 3. The use and opinion of the planning commission is reasonably related to the existing land use and environment. Groundwater, surface water, and air quality in the surrounding area will not be adversely affected by the proposed use. And that's mine, and I would say yes, that this is reasonably related to the existing land use. Just like I kind of stated in the last question was that the buildings, they'd look like ag buildings. We ain't gonna have a bunch of stuff cluttered. It's well taken care of. There isn't gonna be excess of like excavating or anything for the projects, so there shouldn't be no runoff. We're not putting no water, no sewer in these buildings. There is nothing to really make a smell. So I think I can say yes that there is really that, and there is reasonably related to the existing land use and environment, and the groundwater and surface water to air quality shouldn't be affected at all by this adding this extra space on this conditional use permit. Anybody else have anything to answer to add to question 3? Question 4, the use is consistent with the purposes of the zoning ordinance and the purposes of the zoning district in which the applicant intends to locate the proposed use. Brent?
This is, I think it's consistent. It's agricultural zoning in that area. It's rural. Is providing a needed storage in the area. It's pretty limited with traffic. This is agriculture. It is 15 acres. Moving forward, this goes with the land. If another shed is put up there and the land were sold or transferred to somebody else, that could be utilized for future farming and equipment. So I think it is consistent with the zoning ordinance in that district.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have anything to add to question 4? If not, we'll move on to question 5. The use is not in conflict with the comprehensive plan or the water plan of the county. Dave?
I think the applicant has answered all these questions very well, but I would just like to add that in the staff report, the comprehensive plan goals and objectives that are most related to this request are listed there for ag and economic development, and to encourage people like the Schmaz to be entrepreneurs, to start their own businesses, and also to be open to diversity in the ag area where it fits, and to do this in a manner that is in a planned manner, which they've gone through the public hearing and the public posting and all of that, and so not in conflict with the plan. In fact, a model for the plan, really.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Anybody have anything to add to question 5? If not, we'll vote on the questions. And then was there going to be any conditions? Were we going to put one on, no outside?
One condition for no outside storage with the additional shed.
Okay, so that you guys can keep that in mind when you're voting. Okay. So question 1, the use will not put an excess burden on roadways, utilities, and public facilities such as parks and schools. Marvin?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Myself, Clint is yes. Brent?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Okay, question 2, the request will not be detrimental to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for the use predominant area. John?
Yes.
Myself, Clint is yes. Brent?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yes.
Question 3, the use in the opinion of the planning commission is reasonably related to the existing land use and the environment. Groundwater, surface water, and air quality in the surrounding area will not be adversely affected by the proposed use. Myself, Clint is yes. Brent?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Question 4, the use is consistent with the purposes of the zoning ordinance and the purposes of the zoning district in which the applicant intends to locate the proposed use. Brent?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Myself, Clint is yes. Question 5, the use is not in conflict with the comprehensive plan or the water plan of the county. Dave?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Myself, Clint is yes. Brent?
Yes.
Okay, so everything was answered in the affirmative. So I think we'll take a motion to recommend approval to the county board
So moved
Second.
with the one condition, right?
with the one condition, no outside storage.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Okay, so we have a motion made and, made and seconded to recommend approval to the county board with the one condition of no more outside storage. All in favor say aye. Brent?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Marvin?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Myself, Clint is aye. Okay, so we're gonna recommend approval to the commissioners, and they'll have that meeting on August 29th. If you guys got any questions between now and then, please contact Amy or her staff at Land Services. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you. Wanted to shake your hands.
Yep.
Appreciate it, thanks.
Yep.
Best wishes to you.
Thanks.
Good luck.
a lot.
Good luck.
Appreciate it, thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Do we have any, we've got to approve our minutes from June 27th.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second
Second.
that.
Brent, okay. Motion made and second to approve the minutes. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes approved. Any new business anybody have? Amy, you have any?
Mr. Chair, I do not have any new
Yeah.
business or old business.
Okay. Anybody have any old business? No? Okay, if not, we'll, take the motion adjourn.
I would like to make that motion to adjourn.
Okay. I'll second that. Motion's made and second to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned at, 7:27.